Committee on Culture, Recreation, and Tourism will come to order. The clerk will call the roll.
Chair Ashby.
Here.
Vice Chair Martinez.
Here.
Representative Morrison.
Here.
Representative Collier. Representative Bales.
Here.
Representative Flores.
Here.
Representative Garcia.
Here.
Representative Troxclair. And Representative Holland.
A quorum is present. Good morning, members, and to our guests. We're delighted that everyone's here for our CRT hearing this morning. As a reminder, anyone wishing to testify before the committee, you must register at the kiosk located outside the committee room here in the hallway. Actually, it's right behind our hearing room. And if you require any assistance in registering or testifying, please contact the committee staff. Due to the number of witnesses who have registered on a couple of bills, and to accommodate all those who wish to testify, there will be a time limit of 2 minutes per witness during the public testimony period. We're going to take, first thing though, we're going to take care of a little bit of pending business. We got 2 bills that we're going to vote on here real quick, members. So having said that, the chair lays out as pending business House Bill 1333. Members, this is the bill we heard previously from Representative Casale that relates to the sale and purchase of certain fish. The chair moves that House Bill 1333 without amendments be reported favorably to the full House with the recommendation that it do pass and be printed and be sent to the local and uncontested calendars. Clerk will call the roll.
Chair Ashby.
Aye.
Vice Chair Martinez.
Aye.
Representative Morrison.
Aye.
Representative Collier. Representative Bales.
Aye.
Representative Garcia.
Aye.
Representative Flores.
Aye.
Representative Troxclair.
There being 6 ayes, the motion prevails. Now the chair lays out as pending business House Bill 1693. Members, this is the bill that we heard previously from Representative Lambert that relates to the designation of state musicians for classical and non-classical genres. The chair moves that House Bill 1693 without amendments be reported favorably to the full House with the recommendation that it do pass and be printed and be sent to local and consent calendars. Clerk will call the roll.
Chair Ashby.
Aye.
Vice Chair Martinez.
Aye.
Representative Morrison.
Aye.
Representative Collier. Representative Bales. Representative Garcia.
Aye.
Representative Flores.
Aye.
Representative Troxclair. Representative Holland.
Okay, there being 6 ayes, 0 nays, the motion prevails. Thank you, members. All right, we'll get into our business this morning. The chair lays out House Bill 1809 and recognizes Chairman Todd Hunter to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. Just real quickly, as Chairman Morrison knows, and I know Representative Bales remembers, in 2019, Chairman, we passed the oyster mariculture, and it's oyster farming. Many of you may not know, but for years, the oil spills and many of the hurricane torrents and a lot of the wind destroyed oyster beds in Texas. And so we created oyster mariculture, which is oyster farming. And believe it or not, it is now an up-and-coming business, and the first permit has been issued to our shared area, Aransas County. And they're actually selling Copanoe oysters, Copanoe Bay oysters in Austin today. All this bill does is create an advisory board, because now you have private business, and they want to make sure we have a board that has private business and the conservation science community overseeing. And it's advisory, appointed by the governor, has the criteria. Many of you, the reason I brought up some of the members, Chairman, is Mondo may remember this was the bill we passed last year, but they had the local and consent rule in the Senate. And so some of those bills did not make it, even though it passed the House. So that's really what this is. It's just a development of trying to get an advisory board to oversee the new industry that's doing well in the state of Texas. And that's what we're laying out.
Great, thank you. Members, any questions for Chairman Hunter? Okay. I don't believe we have anyone signed up or registered. We do. Okay. The chair calls Alex Ortiz. Alex, we show you registered as Alex Ortiz, representing yourself and the Sierra Club, and you're registered for the bill. Is that correct? Okay. Please proceed. You have 2 minutes.
Again, my name is Alex Ortiz, and I'm the Water Resources Specialist for the Lone Star chapter of the Sierra Club. I'm here testifying in support of HB 1809. We really thank Chairman Hunter for all of his work on this bill. It's a great bill that'll encourage a really important and vital conservation effort, and on top of that, a really important commercial industry for our Texas coast. I do want to just draw attention to the importance of Texas oyster populations and the environmental services they perform, and that they're dependent on the vertical complexity of the reefs. So as oyster reefs grow on top of one another and they get taller and taller, they act as natural breakwaters, prevent saltwater intrusion into freshwater wetlands, and provide a host of filtration services as well. We did have just a couple concerns that I've already shared with Chairman Hunter's office, specifically that the committee itself actually be made up of mariculture-specific interests as opposed to interests that might include sort of wild harvest, dredging interests that don't have a real commercial interest in actual mariculture. We want to make sure that the people sitting on this advisory board actually have an interest in seeing the mariculture industry in Texas be the successful industry that it should be. And with that, I have no other.
Okay, thanks, Alex. Members, any questions? Thank you for being here this morning. All right, anyone else wishing to testify on for or against House Bill 1809? Yes, we have one. Okay, are you Kelsey Strufert?
No, Tracy Woody.
All right, hang on a second.
There you go.
Here we go. I'm sorry, sir, come on up. We show you registered as Tracy Woody, representing yourself and the Texas Oyster Association, and we show you registered for the bill. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, please proceed.
I'm for the bill because, for the same reasons that the folks in the industry are, is, they're trying to navigate a bureaucracy that they found is pretty difficult, and it's a fledgling organization. It's a fledgling business. I've been in the oyster industry since 79, 80, somewhere in there, pretty good while. We been commercial fishermen, processing oysters. We grow our own oysters. We have private leases, and we're also have applied for a permit for mariculture, and so we're going to try that, see how it works. And it's as a fledgling industry, they've realized that it's pretty tough. It ain't as easy as trying to navigate all this, and we've slowly had it piled on us in the commercial side for a long time, and I guess we kind of got accustomed to it. And we've had some different work groups and things, but no official advisory groups. And we would like to get the same thing in the commercial side, and we're trying to do that for the same exact reasons. But yes, I'm for this for a multitude of reasons. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Woody. Members, any questions? Okay, thank you, sir. All right. Next, the chair calls Kelsey Strufert. Kelsey, good morning. We show you registered as Kelsey Strufert. You're here on behalf of the Texas Restaurant Association, and you're for the bill. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, please proceed.
I won't filibuster this one. We're very supportive of Chairman Hunter for basically creating this industry and now helping to see it grow. As he mentioned, restaurants are already selling this product, which is really exciting. And so we're grateful for his leadership and proudly support House Bill 1809.
Great, thank you. Members, any questions? All right, thanks for being here. One more. Let's see. Next, the chair calls Johnny Jurish. Johnny, good morning. We show you registered as Johnny Jurish. You're here on behalf of the Texas Oyster Association, and we have you registered as for the bill, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Good morning,
Okay.
everyone.
Good morning.
I represent the oyster industry and some of the aquaculture farmers as well. The association does, and I want to say that this is a great bill. We're for the bill, but like Tracy said, we would like to have support for our own bill for the same reasons. It is so far, I think on the 9th they testified that aquaculture is doing wonderful and great and stuff, and I feel that this bill will help aquaculture, mariculture succeed because the department definitely needs input from their farmers and their fishermen, and I strongly feel that we need the same, a similar work group so we can give input. I've been a commercial fisherman all my life. I built hundreds of acres of private grounds. I manage thousands for my family. And the input that the industry can give to the department is very valuable. And so work groups like this are extremely important. And thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Johnny.
Ms. Bill.
Members, any questions? Okay, thanks for being here this morning. All right. Anybody else here would like to testify on, for, or against House Bill 1809? All right, seeing none, the chair recognizes Chairman Hunter to close on this bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Remember, as you see, we got across-the-board perspective of support in oyster industry, as well from conservation to the commercial, as well as to mariculture, work pretty well in the state. Close.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate it.
Thank you all very much. Appreciate you.
All right, let's see here. Okay, if there's no objection, the bill will be left pending. Is there any objection? Chair is none, and the bill will be left pending. Next, Chair lays out House Bill 555 and recognizes Representative Vasut to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, for the opportunity to lay out House Bill 555 for you. This is a refile from last session, which was HB 1984. It passed this committee, passed the House, only died in the Senate due to time. Members, currently under Texas law, there are a series, or under the regulations from TPWD, there are a series of special youth hunting seasons. This bill simply says that all special youth hunting seasons need to be at least a week long. Practically, what does that mean? In the fall, for whitetail deer season, which youth hunting season is currently just Saturday, Sunday, it would ensure that it's at least during the weekdays. So if a kid wants to go out on Friday and go hunting after school, or after school on Monday, they can do that. It would also apply to squirrels and turkeys. It would not apply to migratory game birds or waterfowl because we have some federal interplay. So pretty simple bill brought to me by a young constituent of mine that just wanted to go hunting on a Friday. I don't know if there's any witnesses. I'm happy to answer any questions I can. Reserve the right to close if that be possible.
Okay, we do have a witness, but before anybody have questions for the bill author? Okay, reserve your right to close. Representative Vasut. The chair will call John Shepard. John, good morning. We show you registered as John Shepard. You're here on behalf of yourself and the Texas Foundation for Conservation, and we have you registered against the bill. Is that correct?
That's correct. My name is John Shepard. I'm the Executive Director of the Texas Foundation for Conservation. I'm also the current president of the Texas Outdoor Partners, which is an umbrella organization representing about 68 major hunting and angling organizations in the state, and we do respectfully oppose this bill. The reason for the opposition is because duration of hunting seasons is best determined by the Parks and Wildlife Commission, not the legislature. And the reason that there's not a 7-day youth-only whitetail season is because the kids are still in school at that point, and the agency has been reluctant to provide additional temptation for kids to skip school. So the department is staffed by trained professionals with a wide variety of expertise, and they actively engage with hunters, anglers, trappers, and recreational shooters. They have 13 citizen advisory committees, 5 of which are dedicated to game animals that meet several times a year. So decisions about hunting seasons are not made lightly. In 1983, the legislature passed the Wildlife Conservation Act, which brought all of the authority to determine issues like hunting seasons and bag limits to the Parks and Wildlife Department. And we do not want to go back to the time prior to 83 when the counties had their own regulations, the department had regulations, and the legislature made decisions as well. So this legislation actually nicely illustrates the point that I'm making, which is that the commission is better suited than the legislature to determine hunting seasons because they have to balance all of these other factors when they make their decisions. So this bill would box in the commission. It would require them to offer a 7-day youth hunting season while school is still in session, or eliminate that season altogether, or if they don't want to do either one of those things, then the 7-day youth season would take away from the general season. So we respectfully request this committee recognize the expertise and steady hand that the commission has managed hunting regulations for the last 40 years.
Thank you, John. Members, any questions? All right, thanks for being here. Anybody else want to testify on, for, or against House Bill 555? Okay, seeing none, the chair will recognize Representative Asute to close on this bill.
Letting the kids shoot a deer on a Friday is not going to disrupt the regulatory scheme, doesn't impact bag limits. Simple bill, good bill, request passage. Local consent if you're happy to. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Representative Asute. Is there any objection to leaving the bill pending? The chair hears none. The bill will be left pending. Okay, members, next, chair lays out HCR 42 and recognizes Representative Leah Wilson to explain her resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to lay out this bill. The great state of Texas is the 5th largest producer of rice in the United States, even though only a handful of Texas counties continue to grow and harvest that particular crop. Among those counties, nobody harvests more rice than Chambers. And in Chambers County, nobody celebrates that harvest more than Winnie. The city of Winnie will hold its 54th annual Rice Festival over the first weekend of October. This celebration is full of fantastic food and family-friendly entertainment. It is a red-letter event for thousands of Texans across the southeast part of our state. If you're in Texas and you hear rice, you think of Winnie. And that's why it's time to recognize Winnie as the rice capital of Texas. Mr. Chairman, I humbly reserve the right to close.
Okay, thank you, Representative. And I will admit, when I think of rice, I do think of Chambers County in the Winnie area, so give you that. All right, members, we've got several witnesses here. Reminder, there will be a 2-minute time limit on each witness on this bill and all bills. First, the chair recognizes Justin DeViller? I've just butchered this one. I'm sorry. You can correct me. But again, you're going to have to pronounce your last name. We show you registered as Justin DeVillier. You're here on behalf of the Texas Rice Festival, and you're for the bill, correct?
Correct, yes,
All right,
sir.
thank you. Sorry.
Yes, sir. So my name is Justin DeVillier. I'm a lifelong Winnie resident and the 2023 Rice Festival president. Winnie has been the home of the Texas Rice Festival since 1968, where it was formed as a way for the town and surrounding communities to come together and celebrate the successful rice harvest season and to honor the local farmers. That celebration still continues to this day and draws in crowds from across the state of Texas, averaging 60 to 80,000 people each year. Winnie's rice farming history dates back to the late 1800s and early 1900s, where the growth of our modern-day commercial rice production was started due to the completion of the Southern Transcontinental Railroad and the construction of irrigation canals. The railroad has since come and gone, but those irrigation canals are still utilized for crops today. Winnie is also home to the Agriculture Historical Museum, which houses equipment donated from local farmers, which includes horse-drawn equipment, authentic antique tractors, and other farming equipment, as well as the airplane that planted the first aerial seeded crop in the state of Texas. This topic is also near and dear to me, as my family has been farming rice in Winnie since the 1920s and continues to be one of the largest rice farming families in the area. For over 100 years, farmers and ranchers have been the backbone of Winnie and the community, and it would be an honor for Winnie to be known as the official rice capital of Texas.
Awesome. Thank you, Justin. Members, any questions for Justin? All right, thank you, sir, for being here today. Next, the chair recognizes Celia DeVillier. Celia, if you'll come on up. Good morning. We show you registered as Celia DeVillier. You're here on behalf of the Texas Rice Festival, and we show you registered for the bill, correct?
Yes, sir. My name is Celia DeVillier, and I'm the Justice of the Peace in the Winnie and Stoll area.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you. I am considered a long-term transient. My children and I moved to Winnie in 2014 when I married my husband, Yale. But now I have found my home. My son-in-law and many others in our area farm rice as their only source of income. I've witnessed how long his days are, how many things he's missed, and what sacrifices it takes for him to farm, especially harvesting at the long, hot summer months of July through October. Watching how others make their living as farmers, sacrificing for their families to provide for our family and yours is unimaginable. Farm to table takes on a whole new meaning. The impact of the Rice Festival is indescribable to the nonprofits in Winnie-Stoll communities, such as churches, Optimist Club, and KC's, and that's just a few. These organizations turn the monies into scholarships in the upwards of $30,000 towards our local students. Even with COVID and the floods from the Hurricane Harvey, Tropical Storm Imelda that hit us 2017 and 2019 that greatly impacted our area, and shut down the Rice Festival. The Rice Festival still funded scholarships to our local surrounding students. Our small businesses benefit from this festival as well. It's hard work. Rice farming takes long, daunting hours that keeps our farmers away many, many days at time planting through harvesting. But keeping their families fed and housed is sometimes the only thing that they can do for their income at this time. We ask respectfully that you acknowledge and accept our small hometown as Winnie, the rice capital of Texas. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Members, any questions? Okay, thank you again for being here. Next, we have Hollis Gilfillan. There we go. All right, Mr. Gilfillan, we show you registered as Hollis Gilfillan. You're here on behalf of the Texas Rice Festival, and you are for the bill, correct?
That is correct. Good morning, members. I appreciate the opportunity to speak before you. I'm here today voicing my support. I am an area former rancher. I have served in many capacities, but I've always been self-employed as a former rancher. I've served on USDA committees. I've served on Farm Service Agency committees. And the one thing that is always known, Winnie, Southeast Texas, is the capital of rice. We work in partnership with Louisiana and the International Rice Festival to host the Texas Rice Festival. It's just the known deal that we are the rice capital, and we'd like to be acknowledged for it. Thank you for your time.
All right, members, any questions for Hollis? Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you for being here. Okay, next we have Tammy Gilfillan. And Tammy, we show you registered as Tammy Gilfillan. You're here on behalf of the Texas Rice Festival, and you're for the bill, correct?
Yes, sir. I am the 2022 past president of the Texas Rice Festival, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the other industries that are affected due to the rice crops. The duck hunting, all those thousands and thousands of acres of land are flooded, and the migratory birds kind of come through. The guys hunt, the guides provide a lot of tourism money for our city. Also, the birding industry. If you've ever driven through Winnie and you've driven through High Island, it is a federal bird industry spot, and it's a big tourism impact to the city of Winnie. The hotels, the restaurants are always full. Also, the crawfish industry. When they flood the rice fields, they plant crawfish and they lie dormant, and they eat all the dead rice kind of actually underneath the water. And also, kind of personally, our church does rice balls. They started in the first Texas Rice Festival 53 years ago making 500 rice balls. This year we made in excess of 15,000. Sell them out. So people actually come from all over just to have rice balls at the Rice Festival. But it's a very impact on our community, and we would like Winnie to be the rice capital of Texas.
Can you remind us, when is the annual Texas Rice Festival?
First full weekend of October.
October. Okay.
Yes, sir. So barring, we're gonna all ask for good weather. That's
we're
hurricane
gonna send you good
season.
weather, and
So
we need an
we speak
invitation
it.
to come down and
So
try
we
one
will
of these rice
personally
balls.
invite you all
Okay.
down. Thank
Great.
you.
Thanks for being here. Okay. And I believe the last person registered is Jimmy Gore. Jimmy, good morning. We show you registered here on behalf of yourself as well as Chambers County Commissioner, and you are for the bill, correct?
Yes, sir, I am. Thank you. It's an honor to stand before you today, the opportunity to speak in support of this wonderful community in Chambers County. Thank you to Representative Wilson for presenting this here, and thank y'all for taking the time to hear us this morning. Winnie, Texas is located in the easternmost portion of Chambers County. This area is largely agricultural, contributing $19.2 million to the Chambers County economy annually. 59% of that is deriven crop sales, which is rice being the chief export. In addition to the financial impact, rice farming covers a lot of real estate in Chambers County. In 2017, our resident farmers farmed 17,898 acres of rice. As you can imagine, the industry that large has shaped the landscape of Chambers County through development of canal systems, saltwater barriers, roadways for transporting rice, and also getting to plant the rice. Local rice farmers have been working the ground in our county for centuries. You just heard from a generational farmer back there, as well as other supporters of this. The farmers that rice has been essential to the economy, livelihood, and quality of life for our residents since the 1850s. Families relied on this crop for food, income through the oil bust and the oil boom, and then during the times of war. In fact, during World War II, many local farmers employed German prisoners of war who were housed in camps in Chambers County and our neighboring Jefferson County as well. But the rice industry provides even more than that to Chambers County. Our rice farmers are stewards of the ground. They work. Many employ substantial conservation practices to encourage the flourishing wildlife population for the migrating birds that you just heard earlier, for the duck hunters and as well as the geese and many other birds. Rice farming is in our blood. I'm proud to be here today supporting Representative Wilson to request to have Winnie, Texas designated as the rice capital of Texas. Thank you. God
Thank you,
bless.
Commissioner. Members, any questions? All right. Okay. Is there anyone else who wishes to testify on, for, or against HCR 42? If not, the chair recognizes Representative Leo Wilson to close on a resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, committee meeting members, for listening to the people of Winnie. They are truly the salt of the earth, and this would be very meaningful to them, and it would just honor their community and their community spirit. And I close.
All right. Thank you, Representative Leo Wilson. Oh, wait. Real quickly, we do have a question. Representative Morrison.
Good morning. Just a couple of questions. Is this your first bill that you've laid out?
It is.
I thought
First
maybe
bill.
it might be. So I do have a couple of questions.
There we go.
All
now we have
right,
a lot of
here it
questions.
comes.
I do have a couple of questions
Okay.
for you. So have we ever had a designation of the rice capital of Texas before?
I do not believe so. There has been some rice growing in Katy, but now that is shopping strips. There has been there's been a recognition of rice in the Wharton, El Campo area, but Winnie is the capital. Winnie is the king of rice.
So have you consulted with Comptroller Hager, since his family has rice farmed forever, if he is in support of this bill?
I have not consulted with him. However, I do not believe that they have rice balls. I do not believe that they have a rice king and a rice queen and a little Miss Petite Rice. So, and I don't think that they have a week-long celebration of the Rice Festival.
Good question. One other question, did you realize that El Campo has a football team called the Rice Birds?
I did, but we haven't had a football team with the word Rice Birds, but everything else rice comes out of Winnie.
Okay. You might just want to include them and just let them know. Thank you. Great job. Great bill.
Thank you.
All right. Any members?
I have
any
a
further-
question.
Yes. All right. Representative Flores,
here we
one of
go.
your freshman classmates here.
I just want to know if you prefer steamed or fried rice with your Asian food.
Oh gosh, that is so difficult. I love it all, but rice balls are my favorite.
Oh, okay.
You need to try one of those. Okay. I know. We do need to try some of those, Representative Leo Wilson.
You
So,
do.
All
and
right.
You are all welcome to come.
Okay. Thank you. Great job on your first bill.
Any more questions?
All right. We're good.
Thank you.
All right, members, if there's no objection, the resolution will be left pending. Chair hearing none, the resolution is left pending. Also, the chair wants to recognize Representative Collier. Good morning. Is here on the dais with us. All right. And again, thank you to all of those who traveled from Chambers County to be with us this morning. I know that's a little bit of a drive. All right. Next, the chair lays out House Bill 540 and recognizes Vice Chair Martinez to explain the bill on behalf of Representative Longoria.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, Thank you for the opportunity to lay out House Bill 540. This bill was voted out of committee unanimously last session, and I laid it out too, so that's probably why it passed. But unfortunately, it did not make it out to second reading. But this would authorize the Texas State Library and Archives Commission to award construction grants to local Texas public libraries. In the 86th legislative session, money was appropriated to the commission for construction of new border area libraries, but unfortunately, it was discovered that under Government Code Section 441.138B, the use of state grants for construction of public libraries is explicitly prohibited. The existing statutory construction prohibition further complicates both existing and possible future funding for libraries, and I believe there's a witness from the Texas State Library Archives Commission who can speak more to that. So this just mainly amends the Government Code 540.
Okay. Members, any questions for Vice Chair Martinez? All right. We'll proceed to testimony at this time. Let's see, the first witness would Chair calls Gretchen Pruitt. Gretchen, we show you registered as Gretchen Pruitt. You're here on behalf of the Texas Library Association as well as yourself, and you're for the bill, correct?
That's correct.
All right. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Gretchen Pruitt, and I'm a public library director in Central Texas. I am also the current president-elect of the Texas Library Association, whose membership includes more than 5,000 academic, school, public, and special librarians from across the state of Texas. And I'm here today to testify in support of House Bill 540 relating to the award of library construction grants by the Texas State Library and Archives Commission, or TSLAC. Almost 2 million people in our state live in a community without a public library. The rest of the libraries around the state, urban and rural, are operating many times in aging facilities, which make it challenging to meet the needs of our communities. The infrastructure of these facilities is mainly not sufficient to support new technology, and they lack the space to grow along with their communities. And in these communities, the public library staff are the community's second responders. For life and death situations, police and fire are there. But for all other life crises, the public library is the team that responds because they're local and accessible. However, in Stanford City, for example, the library is not ADA accessible, and there's a second floor that's unusable due to the lack of an elevator. In many small libraries, it's not possible to retrofit the building for high-speed digital access through fiber, as the floors cannot either be routed through or poles cannot be moved. Texans deserve library facilities that are technology capable, energy efficient, equipped with adequate and appropriate space to meet the community's needs, accessible to people with disabilities, and support broadband access. Explicit TSLAC authority to award state and federal construction grants is essential to ensure timely deployment of such funding opportunities to benefit Texas libraries and the communities they serve. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, any questions? All right. Thank you, Gretchen. All right. Let's see. Is she a resource witness? Or?
No, she is.
Okay. Next, the chair calls Gloria Meraz. Gloria, good morning. We show you registered on behalf of the Texas State Library and Archives Commission. You're neutral on the bill.
Yes, sir.
And are you here as a resource witness?
Yes, sir. I am. Good morning, members. I am here as a resource
Yeah.
witness.
Members, any questions for our resource witness? Okay. All right. Thank you. Next, chair recognizes Wendy Woodland. Is Wendy here? All right. Again, Wendy Woodland. Is Wendy here? Okay. All right. We're going to change the registration here and recognize that Wendy Woodland with the Texas Library Association is registered for the bill, and she will be changing hers from public testimony to just registering for the bill. Okay? All right. Anybody else here wishing to testify on, for, or against House Bill 540? Seeing none, the chair recognizes Vice Chair Martinez to close on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I close.
All right. Thank you. If there is no objection, the chair will leave the bill pending. Hearing none, the bill will be left pending. All right, I'm going to give you this.
And at this time, the chair lays out House Bill 2719, recognizes Chairman Ashby to lay out the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of committee, it's a privilege to lay out House Bill 2719 before you this morning. Members, as you probably are aware, the statutes as it pertains to, some of the statutes as it pertains to the Texas Historical Commission.
Is there a committee substitute?
There is a committee
Okay,
substitute.
This time, the chair lays out the committee substitute to House Bill 2719, and recognizes Chairman Ashby to.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this bill really is an attempt to update several of the statutes that are somewhat antiquated for the Texas Historical Commission, and specifically, there's really four elements to the bill. One is, the first is that this bill will clarify that the agency is allowed to acquire real property other than just through a donation, so that they could essentially, if the funds are available, purchase property for the Historical Commission. Second item is it would eliminate the list defining the sporting goods sales tax eligible sites and amending that definition to a single inclusive definition that can continue to evolve as hopefully more sites are added to the agency. Thirdly, it would raise the cap for the very popular state preservation grants for our historical county courthouses from $6 million to $10 million, and it will allow for the first time online retail sales and expansion of sales at our Historical Commission gift shops. That's essentially what the bill does. It's very straightforward, and I would be happy to answer any questions that members may have.
Thank you. Members, are there any questions for Chairman Ashby? Hearing none, we will continue with our testimony. This time, the chair calls up Lori Limbacher with the Texas Historical Commission. And thank you very much for being here today, Lori. We show you registered as Lori Limbacher on behalf of the Texas Historical Commission. Is that correct? All right. You'll be testifying on 4 House Bill 2719.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Vice Chair Martinez. I think Chairman Ashby actually gave many of my remarks, so I'm going to try to sort of improvise. And I also have Mark Wolf, the Executive Director of the Texas Historical Commission, with me here today to answer substantive questions. But we appreciate your help, Mr. Chair, in carrying this bill. As he already described, the bill includes 6 sections related to the Historical Commission's authority over historic sites in Texas. 5 are related to the operation of state historic sites, and 1 is related to historic county courthouses. I am a historic preservation architect. I have a personal fondness for historic county courthouses and would like to talk about that first for a few minutes. It's in Section 2 of the bill. And the Texas Historic Courthouse Preservation Grant Program was enacted in 1999. In 2007, the legislature increased the statutory cap for courthouse preservation grants to a county to $6 million. And Section 2 proposes to increase that cap to $10 million. The cap has not been adjusted in 16 years, and the financial burden of courthouse restoration has shifted onto the individual applicant counties. Inflation through those 16 years justifies increasing the cap to $10 million and will restore the balance between state and participating counties. As the chair mentioned, it is quite a popular program, and currently we have 8 counties in the courthouse preservation program with active projects ongoing. Each is dealing with not only inflation, but the supply chain issues that we find ourselves facing in construction these days. One of those is Mason County, whose historic courthouse was nearly destroyed by a very damaging fire 2 years ago set by an arsonist. And it appears likely that the commission may have 45 million, oh gosh, shall I stop? Okay, so we may have an appropriation of $45 million, which will allow us to bring even more counties into full participation in the program. I have remarks on the other sections, but the chair has laid those out, and so I think in the interest of time, I'll just thank you all for your service.
Thank you. Members, are there any questions for? Yes. Representative Collier?
Thank you, Chairman. Hi, thank you. I wanted to know what are the sites that you currently oversee or care for that are related to African American history in Texas?
I know we have a site that we're bringing into the Levi Jordan Plantation.
Okay.
The Barrington plantation associated with the Star of the Republic Museum in Brenham is another one that comes to mind. And Mr. Wolf or Joseph may be able to remind me.
Oh, just you. If you don't know, that's fine. I can get it from you later on.
Yes.
And then what about for Latino history, Latin history?
I know that, I'm sorry? Yeah, Casa
I didn't hear that. That's okay. Okay, go ahead.
We didn't hear.
Casa Navarro in San Antonio is, I think, our primary site. We also have, well, actually, it doesn't represent Latino history, but in El Paso, the McGoffin Home State.
The who?
The McGoffin Home State Historic Site.
Okay. And so this bill is going to allow you to make renovations and purchase historic sites or real property for historic sites?
Actually clarifies the list. There was an inadvertent distinction between types of sites, and so the effort is to make them all created or treated in the same way so that we have the same authority to do all those things, to restore, renovate, interpret, and make them active and beneficial for public visitation.
For all of the properties that you oversee?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Members, any other questions? If not, thank you very much for joining us here today.
Thank you.
At this time, the chair calls up Angela Oglesby with Fairfield, Texas City Council and Freestone County Historical Commission. I believe you're representing yourself and you are... So this is for House Bill 2719, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm here for the other one as well.
Okay, but
So I was-
don't mention the other one. Let's,
Okay, yeah,
we're on.
I'm addressing this
Yes,
one.
ma'am. Perfect, thank you.
Chairman Ashby's bill.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
I am in favor of this bill. I am Angela Oglesby. I'm from the Fairfield, I'm on the Fairfield City Council. I'm on the Freestone County Historical Commission. I'm the secretary of our commission. And this bill, as I was reading over it, I see that it does address several things. I looked at it from a business perspective, and I like the way that it clears up a lot of that for the Texas Historical Commission. I also looked at how broad it is on the selection site, so I liked that as well. And I was really excited about the courthouse preservation, moving it from 6 to 10 million. I have personally experienced part of that. My mother-in-law over in St. Augustine County, which is represented by Chairman Ashby, she applied for one in the early 2000s and got it, so I've seen the process and how it works, and I've seen the finished product. I'm also from a rural county, and from moving it from 6 to 10 is going to be very helpful. Our county, Freestone County, we have filed a master plan with the Texas Historical Commission to have our courthouse restored, preserved as well. So yes, I am in favor of this bill. And Chairman Ashby, I appreciate your work on this. Thank you.
Thank you. And members, are there any questions for Ms. Oglesby? No, thank you. And is there anyone else wishing to testify on, for, or against House Bill 2719? Hearing none, Chair recognizes Chairman Ashby to close.
Thank you, members, and I appreciate your consideration of this bill. I also want to thank Angela for testifying. She mentioned her mother-in-law, Betty Oglesby, who is just a pillar of the community and is really one of the leaders, not just in San Augustine and East Texas on behalf of historical site renovation, but really the state of Texas. And I know that their board members would agree. She's very passionate about preserving our Texas history, so I appreciate Angela being here this morning. And ask for your favorable consideration. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Members, any questions? No? Thank you, Chairman Ashby. And at this time, the committee substitute is withdrawn. And if there's no objection, the bill will be left pending. Thank you.
All right, members, we have one final bill, very important bill. The chair lays out House Bill 2332 and recognizes Representative Orr. And as she's coming up, the chair also lays out and offers up a committee substitute to House Bill 2332 and recognizes Representative Orr to explain the bill. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Chairman and members. As many of you know, Fairfield Lake State Park is located in House District 13 in Freestone County, which I am very proud to represent. As one of the most visited parks in the state and the 2022 State Park of the Year, it is very precious to our local community, as well as park lovers, bird watchers, nature photographers, hikers, campers, and anglers of all ages across the state of Texas. Since news of the park's possible closure was made public, my office has received communications from thousands of Texans urging us to do anything we can do to preserve this treasured park. The intent of this legislation is to protect this park to be enjoyed for Texans for generations to come, as it has been for the last 50 years. I understand that many of my colleagues have reservations about using eminent domain for this purpose, which is why it is not included in this substitute language. Like my colleagues, I too am a supporter of property rights, and I believe that the park can still be saved without that language included. This bill will simply require that Texas Parks and Wildlife Commission approve any application for a new or amended water right related to Big Brown Creek or Fairfield Lake in the Trinity River Basin in Freestone County. With this process in place, I believe the lake and the park can be preserved. I welcome any questions and reserve the right to close, please.
First question, it's going to be a hard one. You ready?
I am.
Is this your first bill?
It is my first bill.
Members, this is Representative Orr's first bill, and what an important bill, too. So great layout this morning. Just to clarify for the public's sake as well as committee members here, so the committee substitute that we have before us, essentially what we're doing is we're just honing in on the application to the TCEQ for a change in permitted use. And all you're saying is that in addition to the normal procedures that goes on at TCEQ, that in this case, as it involves Fairfield Lake, that it would also require to change the permit use, that it would require the approval or affirmation of the Texas Parks and Wildlife Commission, only for this one lake.
Only
correct?
for this one lake.
Yeah, very good, very straightforward. Okay, members, any questions for Representative Orr? Okay, we've had several witnesses. We'll call you back up in a few minutes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, first, the chair calls David Terry. David, good morning. We show you registered as David Terry, and feel free to correct me if I'm mispronouncing your last name there. You are registered here on behalf of the Texas Bass Nation as well as yourself, and you are for House Bill 2332, correct?
Yes, sir. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. I'm Dave Terry, and I am one of the state conservation directors for the Bass Angler Sportsman Society, which is about one of the largest fishing organizations in the country, for sure. We want Lake Fairfield and the state park open to the public in perpetuity. We support House Bill 2332 to secure these public trust resources for all Texans. There is no doubt that fishing supports the local economies surrounding Lake Fairfield. Texas has 4.3 million anglers, and they spend approximately $4.6 billion annually in pursuit of this sport. Our collective activities generate about $7.7 billion in state economic output, and they support 51,000 jobs. The TPWD really does a masterful job in managing this great fishery and park. Since 2020, the lake has produced 75 Sherrilunker bass. Those are bass that are 8 pounds or larger, so these are huge, huge fish. The park provides quality facilities that do cater to anglers. They've got boat ramps, good camping, and fishing piers there. So the park provides the only public access to this reservoir currently for fishing. We're also concerned that Lake Fairfield may become part of a growing number of lake closures in our state. This concerns anglers a lot. We recently lost nearby Lake Monticello and also Gibbons Creek Reservoir down by College Station. So, so it's important for us to try to keep Lake Fairfield if we can. So please don't let Lake Fairfield become private and further diminish fishing opportunity. You know, a growing Texas is going to need more fishing. There's no doubt about that. We also like to see Lake Fairfield and the park. We also see that as a prime destination for families and getting them engaged in the outdoors. And we know through science that kids that get involved in the outdoors are happier, healthier, and do better in school.
Dave, we've hit your 2-minute mark. I'm going to ask you a question though. I'll let you continue here. So I'm an avid angler myself.
Right.
I love to fish, especially bass fish. Are you aware? I'm sure you are. I believe it was last year that Lake Fairfield was ranked the 3rd best Sherlunker lake in the state of Texas.
Yeah, it was. I mean, you know, cranking out 75 fish of that size is certainly impressive, for sure.
Yeah. Also, I need to give a little tip of the hat here to the Texas Parks and Wildlife Commission and the agency. After our last hearing, members, you may be aware, probably are aware, that they did reopen Lake Fairfield State Park. And I'll have etched in my memory for a long time a picture that was sent to me that morning.
Right.
And it was right at sunrise. And if you haven't seen it, I'll be glad to show you after our hearing today. But as far as you can see, coming into the gate are anglers primarily lined up to get in to get their boats in the water.
Absolutely. I saw the same picture, and a lot of our BASS members were in that line to fish. Hopefully it won't be the last time.
I hope not. Representative Carter.
Thank you, David, for being here, because you really highlighted and emphasized the importance of the Parks and Wildlife Commission having, a voice in this process, because it preserves the natural, part of our community and our waters. So thank you for highlighting this and bringing this to our attention and sharing your opinion with us. So I appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much for saying that. I agree.
Members, any further questions for Dave? Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much,
sir. Next, the chair calls Alex Ortiz. Alex, welcome back. We show you registered as Alex Ortiz. You're here on behalf of the Sierra Club as well as yourself, and you are for the bill, correct?
Yes, that is correct. Thank you, Chairman Ashby and members. Having looked at the committee substitute, I have to say that I'm a little bit disappointed, not because it doesn't accomplish the goal, but this is actually the exact purpose of why eminent domain exists in our legal system, is to preserve and to make sure that lands are being put to public use where they're performing a significant public good. Fairfield Lake State Park, obviously, as you've heard testimony over the last couple of weeks in different committees, and as I'm sure you'll hear today, is a very important part of our Texas park system. So I do just want to emphasize that the existence of eminent domain would be appropriate in this instance, and any discussion of market value or potential damages due to the condemnation of Fairfield Lake State Park would actually be inappropriate at this time. That's not what the subject of this should be. The subject of this hearing really should be about whether or not we should be preserving this park. I also want to draw attention to the water right as a whole, because I feel like this water right in particular is really indicative of a much bigger problem in the state of Texas. The first point there is that the Sunset Advisory Commission explicitly flagged TCEQ's failure to cancel water rights for non-use. And TCEQ has the authority to do that as long as any portion of a water right has gone unused for 10 years. Given that this is a consumptive water right of 14,000 acre feet, and it's not been clear that 14,000 acre feet of that water right have actually been consumptively used for the past 10 years, TCEQ has the authority to at least partially cancel the water right, if not cancel it in full. Beyond that, I do want to point out that the state agency most affected by this water right at issue, the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department, has no ability to participate in or initiate contested case hearings, and that ability was removed during the TCEQ sunset review last review cycle.
Got it. Members, any questions for Alex? Okay, thank you. Also, let me recognize Representative Troxclair is on the dais. Good morning. All right, next the chair recognizes Dennis Walsh. Mr. Walsh, we show you registered as Dennis Walsh. You are here representing yourself, and you are for the bill, and you have a great-looking tie on. Is that correct?
That is correct,
All
yes.
right, thank you.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity to speak on this. I am a lifelong naturalist, and I've got over 26 years of experience with Texas Parks and Wildlife as park manager of Fairfield Lake State Park.
So I'm
I was-
sorry, so you were the manager of the state park for 26 years there at Lake Fairfield?
I'm sorry, we're hearing aids.
I just want to make sure I heard you correctly. So you were the manager at Lake Fairfield State Park for 26 years?
No, my career with Parks and Wildlife was 26 years. I was
Okay.
manager for 15 years at Fairfield Lake State Park.
Okay, so for 15 years.
I've had manager experience at other state parks too, but
Okay.
Fairfield's my baby.
Please
My
continue.
children
Sorry, I
were
just want to
there.
make sure I was hearing you
My
right.
daughter, Corinne out there, is one of the most enthusiastic proponents of this bill. My takeaway message in all my interpretive programs was that when the quantity of human development of our natural resources goes up, the quality of our environment goes down. And I had the privilege to take people out on bald eagle tours in Fairfield Lake for 9 years. And it was a real thrill to have children see their first bald eagle in the wild. And I like to tell the story about the canary in the coal mine, where the coal miners used to take a caged canary down into the mine with them, and it was an environmental indicator of air quality. They'd watch the canary. If the canary started showing signs of distress because of possible toxins in the air, they knew it was time to get out. Well, up here on the surface, we can't get out. We can't get off the planet. We have to take corrective action for the damages that we do to the environment. And that's why it's so important to use eminent domain to secure this park for the future, not just for this generation, but for our children and our children's children. I believe some assessments need to be made. We need to have a natural resource investigation of what the species, what endangered species that we may not even know of on the property. Needs to be a historical, cultural assessment of graveyards, and there's recently been some discoveries of freedmen, slave cemeteries on the grounds, and we need to do an economic impact assessment. You know, a few years back, the mine closed, and that really hurt the community, and the loss of this park would, you know, drive another nail in the coffin of this park. So I just like to stress how important it is that we need to keep this park and not give away $72 million of taxpayers' blood, sweat, and tears. All these assets that have been put into the park need to be kept for the people of Texas.
Representative Collier has a question for you,
Yes.
sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you for, I share your opinion about the eminent domain. I believe that that's a valid pathway, but I also agree that this pathway that Representative Orr has presented us is also a great way to preserve our park because of what we heard earlier from the testimony about the ecosystems, and you know this more than anything, that our waters, you know, have to have a certain level and toxicity and all that, and our parks and wildlife have a duty to make sure that we're maintaining appropriate measures in that body of water. So I feel like it's been tied together, and you would know this more than I would, that absolutely the Parks and Wildlife should have a say in this water rights.
Yeah, we need to explore the full spectrum of ways to keep the park. If it's eminent domain, water rights, historical access, you know, whatever ways that we can do it.
Absolutely.
We can work on it.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Hang on, members, any further questions for Mr. Walsh? All right, thank you, sir, for being here. Appreciate it. Okay, next the chair calls forward Corinne. Well, I knew it was Corinne. I don't know why I said Corinne. Corinne Wilder, you're here representing yourself, and you are for the bill, correct?
Correct.
All right, please proceed.
And as my father just said, he was state park superintendent for 15 years. That was the first 15 years of my life. I spent the formative years of my life growing up in Texas at Fairfield Lake State Park. And at this point in time, it would be a personal tragedy to see this park fall into the hands of a developer that is going to destroy the lands, the ecosystem, as you mentioned, Representative Collier, and also be allowed to set up multi-million-dollar homes and a golf course. This would destroy the ecosystem, the raccoons, the white-tailed deer, which we heard mentioned in another bill today, all of the precious resources that we have, including the water rights, as has been mentioned as well. So there's a vast multitude of reasons. There's personal reasons, there's environmental reasons, political reasons, financial reasons that we're all here today. But one of the very pure and realistic truths is that Governor Abbott came in and earlier this year made a statement, and I quote, "Yes, we want Texas to grow. Yes, we want Texas to prosper. But we can do that while at the very same time conserving the beautiful parks that we have and adding to them to make Texas even more appealing for future generations." Now is the time for us to stand behind that, to help him stand behind his word, and the committee being able to uphold our values as Texans. As Texans right now, we should be ashamed of the state of our park system. We have only ranked 35th of the nation of the contiguous United States for preserving lands, but we are the second largest state in our contiguous United States. This is an absolute travesty and one we should be correcting as soon as possible. This is a very gem of a state park right on the border of the prairie lands and piney woods, and this is something that, again, is very unique in the Texas park systems. There's not a lot of other state parks that are on that borderland that have that same ecosystem that, again, we need to protect and preserve these lands.
Corinne,
Economically,
We've
Sorry.
hit our 2 minutes. Let me see if we can throw you a lifeline here. Members, any questions?
Yes, I have a question.
sure.
Representative Collier.
Can you tell me the economic impact that you were going to talk about?
Yes, indeed. As my father mentioned, there's $72 million worth of Texas state investment from taxpayers in the state park system. I understand that there are going to be representatives from Todd Interest that will come up and argue against a prospective economic achievement that they plan to achieve over the next few years, which is their reason for not allowing the state park to go in and preserve this. So what we're asking at this point in time, if the negotiations are not moving forward, is to help us preserve that $72 million worth of taxpayer money that's already been invested, not allow a continued degradation of Fairfield, which you'll hear from other representatives coming up to testify, what is going to do to their own personal impacts in Fairfield, and allow us to continue to move forward to help save this state park and the lands.
Okay. Members, any further questions for Corinne? All
I
right.
very much appreciate the time.
Thank you for being here with us this morning. Okay, is there anyone else here wishing to testify on, for, or against House Bill 2332? Oh, I'm sorry, do we have one? We have, all right. Ma'am, come up, if you don't mind. Come up, if you wouldn't mind, just approach the dais here. Come up here if you don't mind.
Sandy Emmons.
Okay, hang on one second, Ms. Emmons. I see her.
Y'all might recognize me. I've been sending a lot of emails.
Okay, so we have one. Okay, all right. I'm going to recognize you at this time. Okay, members, the last person we have registered to testify is Ms. Sandy Emmons. She is here representing herself, and she is for the committee substitute House Bill 2332.
Yes, I'm for the bill for the water, but I'm also for the bill for eminent domain, if that can still be on the table. But there's several reasons why I'm here representing. I was the former Freestone County Historical Curator for the Freestone County Historical Museum. So I do have some intimate knowledge about the park. when there were surveys going on back in 2008 and 2009. I helped put together the oral histories that were for that area. And when this all came about, I was able to put together those oral histories to what they were actually researching at the park. But in regards to economic, I want to talk about that too, because our family has the largest retail store on the downtown square in Fairfield. 75% of our business comes from lake traffic. And we have not seen any kind of economic impact study done, or nobody researched it with any of us. During those fishing tournaments that they're talking about, all of the wives shop in town. And the children's fishing tournaments that go on, you should see pictures of those. I know you guys said that you saw those wonderful pictures of people coming in. You should see the hundreds of kids that line up to fish out there. That impacts hotels, restaurants, dining, gas stations, you name it. It affects it all. But what I'm really passionate about is the fact that we do have that forgotten cemetery within the state park. There are 18 other sites that were done during that survey that were possibly level 1s and level 2s. So I feel like that is something that needs to be looked at also for the history of Texas, not only for our history, for the African American history that is in that area. That was one of the most prominent freed slaves communities in Texas. So it's extremely important. Some of the largest plantations that were here in Texas were right there where the lake is now. That means that there were, when the slaves were freed after emancipation, they actually stayed in the area, and they built an entire community in that area.
Yeah. Sandy, let me ask you, what kind of business does your family have there on the square?
It's the Armadillo Emporium. Some of you that have been to Fairfield may see it. It's right there on Highway 84 across from the courthouse. It was a 1929 automobile dealership, the first one in Freestone County. It was Parker Mall.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of history there.
We also have a ranch there, 680 acres, 6 miles from the lake, and we worry about our water tables all the time.
Sure. We, as you probably are, I know you're well aware, we had a hearing a couple weeks ago on Lake Fairfield State Park, and the county judge there in Freestone County came and gave very powerful testimony about the economic impact, which of course you were testifying to, and we understand it will be very profound on the community. And I don't want to speak for anybody else, but certainly I think there's a general consensus amongst legislators, lawmakers, and our leadership in the state that we certainly want to do all we can to help preserve that.
That's
jewel.
great. There's a huge opportunity to do interpretive trails there and tell the real story of Texas.
Representative Collier.
Yes. Sandy, I want to thank you so much for the information that you shared with us. It's factual and historical, so thank you for helping to enlighten us and shed light on the importance of the community. I appreciate you.
Yep. Members, any further questions? All right. Thank you, Sandy.
Thank you.
I believe we have a resource witness from TCEQ here. Kim? No, I thought I saw her. Kim, there you are. Kim, if you wouldn't mind coming forward, I believe we have a question for the agency. Chair recognizes Kim Nygren, Director of Water Availability for TCEQ. She is here as a resource witness on the bill. Representative Morrison.
Thank you for being here. Can you just explain to me how TCEQ is going, I mean, how this is going to work as far as trying to keep the water, keep the lake? I mean, what is the process going to be for TCEQ?
Under the committee substitute?
Under the committee substitute, yes.
The committee substitute would have Parks and Wildlife approve any appropriation from Big Brown Creek or Lake Fairfield.
Mm-hmm.
And so we would have to develop a process with Parks and Wildlife that would allow them to review any request for an appropriation submitted to the agency and approve that before it was issued.
Okay, so we would have to have appropriations also?
Well,
or just for the
not
water?
appropriations,
The water
money for the
appropriation.
water,
Okay,
yes, ma'am.
Right, right, okay, thank you. Thank you, okay.
Okay, Representative Flores.
So the bill says that it's not just they have an opportunity to review, they must approve it before you all take action, correct? Texas
Yes,
Parks and
ma'am.
Wildlife?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and I had a question regarding what, I think you heard the testimony from Sierra Club witness. What about that issue about since that the water had not been used and that TCEQ had the right to actually just cancel the actual water use? I don't know what it was, permit, I guess. Was that ever considered, or is that correct, or can you enlighten me about that process?
The statute provides that TCEQ may cancel a water right for non-use after 10 years. There's a number of exclusions to that. There's been water use under the water right within the last 10 years. So water right in whole wouldn't be open to cancellation under the statute because there has been some water use there. In general, we have not pursued cancellations on a statewide basis. We have taken an in-depth look at it to see if we canceled water rights, would it make water available for other appropriations or for the environment. And what happens under the prior appropriation system, that's how we manage water rights under Texas state law, is that it firms up existing water rights, but it doesn't make any new water available for appropriation. And it's a pretty time and labor-intensive process for the TCEQ, potentially for other state agencies, as well as for the local courts. And so given the lack of benefit it provides, we hadn't chosen to go the route of the expenditures associated with that process.
So even though they weren't using all of the, is it acre feet or whatever it was?
Yes.
There was still partial use, so even though it said they hadn't used it in 5 years, because I don't know how you determine partial, the time period, or partial the amount of water that's being used. Does that matter? I mean, or do you all, as long as there's some water being taken or used?
We would look at the time period, the 10 years by statute. We would be looking to see under that statute if there's use within that 10-year period. And we do have documented use through at least 2016 under the water right.
Okay, thank you.
Members, any further questions for Kim? All right, Kim, thank you for being here this morning. Okay, is there anyone else wishing to testify on, for, or against House Bill 2332? Okay, I'm sorry. Yes. Hang on one second, Representative Orr. Okay, hang on one second. So, come here real quick. Yeah, Angela. Okay. Yeah.
I signed it
Okay.
twice.
All right, Angela, you had registered to not testify, but we're going to change that
Thank
to
you.
you are going to register to testify.
Thank you.
Your name is Angela Oglesby. You are here representing the City of Fairfield, Freestone County Historical Commission, as well as yourself, and you're testifying for House Bill 2332, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I am. The original bill with the eminent domain, I was in support of that, so I still am in support of that. As a business owner in Fairfield, I'm on the other side of the square on 84. My husband and I, we own a pharmacy, so we do see some people at times if they have to go to our hospital. I also agree, we need an economic impact study. It would be interesting to know how it's really going to affect our town. I also wanted to thank all of you. I watched the committee hearing and the questions that y'all had. The 2-hour and 45-minute hearing were wonderful. Representative Bells, thank you so much for bringing forward the tax questions. You know, thank you. Representative Collier, thank you for bringing forward the cemeteries that are there. I want you to know that after your testimony, our Freestone County Historical Commission got on top of that abandoned cemetery. We have filed it in the county records Monday, the 20th of this week. So now it is officially in the Freestone County records. and I wanted you to know that.
Thank you, Angela. Members, any questions? All right, thank you. Anybody else wishing to testify on for or against House Bill 2332? If not, the chair recognizes Representative Orr to close on her very first bill.
Thank you, Chairman and members. I appreciate your consideration of this, and I close.
Thank you, Representative Orr. The committee substitute is withdrawn, and if there's no objection, the bill will be left pending in committee. Chair hearing no objection, the bill will be left pending. Okay, members, that concludes our agenda today. Is there any further business for the committee to address? If not, the chair moves to adjourn. Is there any objection? Hearing none, the committee stands adjourned at 9:19 a.m., subject to the call of the chair. Thank you, members.